Oh, hello, Jefferson. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. How about you?
Yeah, it's not too bad. Not too bad. We're enjoying some windy, wet weather here in New Zealand at the moment. But other than that, it's not too bad. Not too bad.
It's very common there. Happen this
Sorry, it's very
common to happen this.
not so common. But this year, I must admit, we've had quite a lot of bad weather throughout our summer. In fact, it doesn't actually feel like we've had a summer this year. And
Yeah.
this is we've only got 2 more weeks of summer, but we've had some subtropical storms and we've got a cyclone just sitting off the side of New Zealand at the moment that's been there for about the last 3 or 4 days. So we've had, wind going up and down in strength. We've had rain in various areas, and we've had a lot of rain recently, and things like that. So it's been an interesting summer, not one that we're really used to, really. So
It's like
yeah.
it's like Brazil. Brazil happens almost this when it's summer. We have lots of
Mm,
rain,
mm,
and when it's winter, we have a hot temperature. It's like the
right,
opposite,
right,
especially in the
right.
region. And I
Okay.
was And I was talking about the weather with a teacher from Ireland. Now she's living in Spain. She was
Mm,
talking about in Spain, it's happened something like New Zealand. It's something that is not common to happen. It's
mm,
years before it was common to happen a different way, and
mm.
this year she's feeling colder than years before.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
like a change.
yeah. Absolutely. And that's it's interesting you bring that up because a few of my students are in places like Japan, and they said that they've got more snow than they've ever had before. It's like everybody's weather is getting a little bit, there's a change in most people's weather around the world, and it sort of tells us that we've maybe hit that point that's we've gone beyond the point now, and the world is reacting, the planet is reacting with different weather patterns and things like that. Um, and as we know, global warming only intensifies the weather systems, and that could lead to more flooding, more snow, stronger winds, more cyclones, and all this sort of thing until there's a correction. It sounds like a disaster movie, but I mean, this is what it is. I mean, we've caused this, and hopefully we can resolve it um, before it becomes a problem, a really big problem. Yeah. But what about in Brazil? I mean, do you notice the weather difference at all there?
Yes, we have five regions, and each one has a different way. If you go to
Mm,
south, for example, it's
mm,
like you have snow, cold weather. But if you go to my region and northeast, it's like to
mm,
go to the Africa or Caribbean region. It's
mm,
hot, humid. We have beaches that people travel to there because they have the temperature and the climb
mm,
that was a good experience. So here
mm,
in my region, we have lots of hot weather. It
mm,
it doesn't rain a lot because it's like a desert. It's like a
mm,
desert, almost a desert in some region because it's very hot and
mm,
don't rain a lot. I think it's because nearest to the sea, there are lots of mountains that
mm,
difficult to that made I don't know a something that don't make possible to the sea happen to the regions in the countryside to have the rain. It's like I forgot the name. It's like a wall. If you think a wall, the mountains. It's a wall to the sea. Make the clouds to make a rain.
mm,
In regions that are nearest to the sea, it's rain a lot, but in the
mm.
interior, it's the opposite. But we
Oh,
have
okay.
in the northeast, in the northeast region, we have the Amazon, and so it's another type of climate.
Mm, mm, mm,
If you go to the Middle East, it's like to go to the Middle East in the United States or to Australia.
mm. Right, right. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, I mean, Brazil's a huge place. I mean, compared to New Zealand, right, which is down here, way down here, it's a wee small little set of islands, yeah, yeah. I mean, we're not, I suppose in a way it's like the heat wave in England, last year when they had these crazy, crazy temperatures again, another location in the world that had something that just, they don't have. I mean, they went up the area, one of the towns that I lived in, it was the hottest place recorded at just over 40 degrees. Now, some people around the world may go, well, 40 degrees, we get 40 degrees, and we're okay, we manage. The thing is, people in these areas, they're acclimatized to 40 degrees, their body is used to that sort of thing. And the environment that people live in is set up for 40 degrees. You've got air conditioning in your vehicles, air conditioning in the houses, air conditioning here, and the right type of clothing for that sort of temperature, like wearing white to reflect the heat. England doesn't have air conditioning, right? England doesn't, it's cold, it's a cold, damp country. To get 40 degrees, the people just didn't know what to do. I mean, where do I hide? How do I get out of this temperature? Go in your house. I mean, you can put a fan on, but that's it. That's what you've got. I mean, you've got radiators on the wall for heating, and you've got 40 degrees in the summer. You just don't get that temperature. It's crazy. So
That's why some people have difficult to change to another country, because these
mm,
conditions very difficult to readapt to another place.
mm,
Uh,
mm. Very true. Very true. Yeah. Funny, I met a student, I think around the beginning of last year, and I talked to her the first time I talked to her, she said, I'm from Vietnam, and I was like, okay. And I said, where are you? You still in Vietnam? No, 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 I live in Canada. And there was a picture in her room. There was a bed, and she was sort of sitting in the middle of the bed, and she had this blanket around her, and she said, I'm studying for the IELTS test. And I said, okay. I said, that's a bit strange. I said, you're from Vietnam. I said, to get to Canada, you would have done an IELTS test. And she said, yeah, I did one a long time ago, and it's past its 2 years now, so I need to do it again. And I said, well, you've done your overseas trip. You've gone from Vietnam, and you're in Canada. I said, why do you want to do IELTS again? She goes, it's freezing here. She said, it is so cold. She said, every time I go out, it's just cold and it hurts, and I don't want to be here anymore. I'm going to go to Australia. She said, I hate it. And I laughed and I said, did you not check the weather patterns of where you were going? She says, I didn't expect it to be quite like this. And I was like, okay, all right. And that comes down to being thorough and doing your homework, right? But yeah, you're quite right. Some people just, it's like if I went to live in Saudi Arabia, I'd die, right? I'd be a puddle of water on the floor. That would be me. I couldn't function in that heat. It's just not possible. So
that's why they have air condition and the
yeah.
in the streets. I I
Mm,
I see in the World Cup and Qatar, they made some streets that are more cold than the weather, that they
Wow.
actually weather. They have the technology to do it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
go to desert, you
Mm,
die. Here it's very hot, but
mm,
sometimes I think I have a heartbreak because
yeah.
very, very difficult because I don't know,
Mm,
it's bad sensation.
mm,
I think
mm,
there are countries with the weather is more good to live, but
mm.
it's quite difficult nowadays because of the change of all these things that you are doing.
Yeah. That's right. That's
You are
right.
doing.
It is a worldwide thing. I mean, the heat waves in Japan, like you said about cooling a street, they put some water, like a mist area,
Yes,
and so that people could walk along and just stop there for a second and have a cold mist sort of drop down on them, and and they said during the pandemic, they said, we've gone from pandemic being number one to heat stroke, heat problems with people's bodies and fainting and things like that. That's the problem. And that heat plus mask was too much. And so they said, look, when you're outside, take your mask off. Please take your mask off. Breathe, as much as possible, get cool air and cool mist down on you, and go from place to place, and, plan your trip. Don't be too long out in the sun and out in the weather and things like that. And it honestly, I mean, it's a worldwide thing. I mean, it tells us, I mean, we're not experts, but you have a conversation with people around the world, we all talk about weather, right? It's a very common topic, right? Especially from the UK. I mean, they're always talking about the weather, and normally how bad it is. But, you know, talk about the weather worldwide, and we're seeing and hearing it, from the people living there. Something is changing. This is not our norm. Like in New Zealand, I'll show you our one, to get this sort of weather is just, it's not normal. It's not normal here in New Zealand. And we've had so many, where's the map? I think it's somewhere around here if I can find it quickly. But we just don't get this sort of, flooding, these sorts of flooding events. There it is there. Screen just picked that up there. I mean, here's Australia. So here's the east coast of Australia, and here's little old New Zealand down here, and you can see
wow.
this cyclone, and
Yeah,
I'm about here. So
Jesus.
that's me, and that's the center. So, you know, it's actually not so windy at the moment. It's windier when you're out this area, right? If you're in this zone here, it's windy. And this is our nation's capital down here, Wellington, and it's known as Windy Wellington because when you get
Yes.
fast moving air coming through between the islands, it picks up a lot of speed. And the first time I ever went to Wellington, people said, "Oh, you're going to Windy Wellington?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm going to Windy Wellington. Never been there." Oh my God. When they said windy, there's windy, right? I had windy here. No, Wellington was somewhere up here. It was double, triple my expectation, to the point where you are actually sort of leaning into the wind to be able to walk forward. It was the craziest place that I've been to for wind. And just looking at that map, because Wellington's down here, just looking at this map right now, I mean, the speed of that wind going through there would be somewhere around about 70, 80 kilometers an hour. So that's going to be pretty windy down there today, because this wind might be 70 to 80, but as it goes through here, it's going to increase in speed. So they'll be getting gusts of over 120, over 150 probably. Not the place to be today. So yeah, and this has been sitting in this area for about the last 3 days. It just doesn't want to go away. So
Yes.
yeah, hopefully soon.
I hope that's all be okay with this.
I hope
Not
so too. I hope so. I'm sure it will be. It's just a case of quite a lot of flooding cleanup to be done, but thankfully not where I am at the moment. So that's good. Jefferson, we're out of time. all about the weather, right? We'll see you next time. All right. Take
Thank
care.
you so much.